Dangerous prayers. And I want to just start with a bit of a kind of a look back here to see kind of what we've gotten to. Okay, so the first week, Rob was up here, and he talked about this whole idea of what is a dangerous prayer, why is a dangerous prayer, and what does it really matter? Okay, what does it matter? So I want to I'm going to give you 1 minute, just 1 minute, and with just the person near you, I want you to just think of one thing on what is a dangerous prayer and why does that matter that we are praying them. 1 minute, you with me? I will not sing, I promise. I will not do it. I'm too tired to sing. But here we go, starting in 1 minute, starting right now. 1 minute, just chit chat. Why it's a dangerous prayer, what does it matter? Go ahead, someone near you. Okay, that's a teacher minute. I call that a teacher minute. It's whenever you're just done listening. Great. All right, here we go. So, thinking amongst yourself, everyone just know, you don't have to raise your hand or anything, but just volunteer me some things. What is a dangerous prayer? Just volunteer. Anyone say? Okay, good. Calling in for healing. What else could be dangerous prayers? What are they? Patience, good. Anybody else? Use me, good. Thy will be done, good. Okay, so why do dangerous prayers matter? That was the other half of that sort of question. Anyone come up with why does it matter that we're praying dangerously? Okay. Anybody else? Accountability? Good. Build faith? Good. Okay, great. I go back, one of the things that I remember, and let's see, I am 32. I started working in ministry when I was 18. So I've been a lot of places. So sometimes I can't recall exactly who said something to me. Somebody at some point in my faith journey said, if you're praying for something and you can do it, you should just go do that thing and find something more dangerous to pray. And the example I think of is like, if I really wanted a chicken sandwich, I can just drive to Popeyes. Okay, that's not dangerous, that's not bold enough, right? So there's this sense of praying for things that are beyond what we think is possible. Healing miraculously, right? Break my heart, send me. These are things we're asking to go above and beyond. So one of the last week we talked about break me. It was this idea of break my heart for what breaks yours. And that is a super duper dangerous prayer. Because when you pray that, you are asking for supernatural empathy. Supernatural empathy to feel the things that God feels. And that opens you up to a whole world of things maybe you never thought of before. In fact, the only reason I am standing before you is because at some point in my life, I prayed for God to use me and break me for his own will. I had a job lined up in Southern Indiana to go teach, and I prayed this, and God said, you're going to stay in North Webster, and you will not have a job, and you are going to work in ministry. It's dangerous. I had health insurance at that other job lined up, right? And it's changed my course forever. It will change the direction you're heading in when you pray dangerously. Something will change inside of you. And today, we're looking at another dangerous prayer. And I'm going to start doing this, and I will explain it in a second. Today, we're praying another dangerous prayer, and it's search me. It's another one of these dangerous prayers. And to get ourselves acclimated to this, we're going to read Psalm 139 all the way, the whole thing. It's not a terribly long psalm, but it's longer than like 4 verses. So if you would like, please do turn to Psalm 139. And I'm going to read the whole thing, and we're going to jump into some things that we're learning here. Psalm 139. I am reading out of the ESV. So if it sounds funny, I'm reading out of the ESV. O Lord, you have searched me and know me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar. You search out my path and my lying down, and are acquainted with all of my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, behold, O Lord, you know it altogether. You hem me in behind me and before, and you lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high, and I cannot attain it. Where shall I go from your spirit? Or where shall I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you're there. If I make a bed in Sheol, you're there. If I take the wings of the morning and I dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there your hand would lead me and your right hand would hold me. If I say, surely the darkness would cover me and light be not in the night, but even the darkness is not dark to you. The night is bright as the day, for darkness is as light with you. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you. When I was being made in secret and intricately woven in the depths of the earth, your eyes saw my unformed substance. In your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there were none of them yet. How precious to me are your thoughts, O God. How vast the sum of them. If I were to count them, they are more than the sand. If I awake, I am still with you. Oh, that you would slay the wicked, O God. O men of blood, depart from me. They speak against me with your malicious intent. With malicious intent, your enemies take your name in vain. Do I not hate those who hate you, O Lord? And do I not loathe those who rise up against you? I hate them with complete hatred and count them my own enemies. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts, and see if there be any grievous way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. Psalm 139, of all the Psalms that I love in the thing, if you're following along with us as we're reading through the New Testament, you read one Psalm a day, which means by the end of the year, you will have read every Psalm at least twice, and you'd read about half of them at least 3 times. You're going to know the Psalms very well by the end of this journey if you follow along with us. And something you'll notice is there are different kinds of Psalms. There are Psalms that are lamenting. Oh, I'm so sad. They're the lamenting Psalms. There's very happy Psalms, and then there are some Psalms like this one where it's like both of them. There's some happiness, there's some sadness, there's some amazingness, there's some questioning. I love this beautiful Psalm, and there are 11 Psalms like 139 that begin with this phrase, Lord. There's 11 of those. However, 139 is the only one that addresses it with this cool thing, Lord, you. So we have this sense of a conversation right at the tippity top. Lord, you search me and know me. Lord, you made me wonderfully. Lord, you follow me into the depths. Do you hear this? It happens 11 times throughout this chapter. So we have this very personal, very introspective, very thoughtful discourse between David writing and God, this marvelous thing. And we get some of these pictures. If we're going to go way back in the recesses of your brain here, way back to last summer. God is, anybody remember? Infinitely powerful? Intimately personal. Some people had it. Ooh, all right, some things stuck. Here we go. We have these pictures of this powerfully huge, enormous God in here that's intimately personal. Right? No matter where I go, in the depths of the sea, in the highest skies above, you're there. Your thoughts and days are like the sands on the beach, right? You've knitted me in a womb. You remember some of these pictures, but yet we have David interacting in this very personal way. We get this very personal interaction here. And David asks God these sort of 3 things, 3 verbs, 3 actions that he wants God to take. Search, know, and understand. Search, know, and understand. Now, there are 3 things that sound like they could be similar, but there's some tinge of difference through them. Searching for something is to probe. It's to really get in there. Here's the example. If there was a haystack over here, and there was one needle in it, and I went, I don't see a needle. I didn't really search it, did I? Right? The only way I could really search this haystack, I gotta push away some hay. I've got to get in there. I've got to probe. I've got to hope it like jams through my hand. Oh, there's the needle, right? Searching is more than just like, yeah, no, it's not, I don't see it. There's action, there's intent, there's motion, there's movement. Search, okay, cool. Second is to know, And to know is to pursue even deeper. To know something is to work for an even deeper understanding than just like, that's a hay bale. Well, to know it, I've got to get in there. Oh, it definitely is only hay. Are you following me? Good. And the third one is to understand. And to understand is to now perceive action in a different way. Case in point. How many of you remember chemistry? I know you do. When I took chemistry, I was horrible at chemistry. The only thing I remember, and I'm going to get the words wrong. I'm not even going to look at Mark. I'm not even going to look at him. When I took it, there was like a test, and I had to memorize isotopes. Good, thumbs up. I had to memorize these isotopes, and it was like these varying things that they look like things, but there's like isotopes of them, and you had to have them memorized. And so there was this test, and I went to memorize them, and I didn't do very good. But to this day, I remember that there are isotopes. I would say that I know that isotopes exist. I know that. My friend who is a chemist who works in a food laboratory making sure that sour cream doesn't accidentally kill you, he understands chemistry. There's a bit of a difference. He perceives it in a different way than me. I understand the word, I know the words, I know different things, but he understands it. It's like a part of him. So there's knowing something, and then there's understanding something. And it's how into your being it really is. So he says, search me, get into me. Help me know me. Help me just get me figured out in some way. But then help me understand. Abide and change in me. Help me perceive it differently. 3 things David's asking for in here. And the reason that I say that this prayer is, quote, dangerous, is going to be a little bit more evident as we dive into Genesis 3. And to give you a picture on it, what I want to do, and you have to make a promise. Everyone, do like your Boy Scout hand promise thing. So put your right hand like this. I solemnly swear I will not fall asleep. Great. Okay, you're going to close your eyes so that you can get a good picture in your brain of this. Because there's some stuff I want you to keep a picture in your head. And I'll try to give you some imagery to help you understand this. But there's this search me, know me, and understand me. Investigate me. Help me find insight and integrate into me. Okay? Genesis 3, it's a story we're very familiar with. You can close your eyes. We have just seen God create magnificently. It's the first 2 chapters. So at this point, everything is done. And there's this beautiful, perfected garden. There was nothing, a bunch of chaos and nothingness, and God like pushed stuff around with his fingers, and there was sky and earth and land and sea and birds and fish and animals and light and day and stars and moons and galaxies, and he's pushing them all where they're supposed to go. And now we have this perfectly ordered universe, this perfectly ordered garden, this place of absolute perfection. The image in my brain is this place in Ireland. It's called Glendalough. And it's just this old monastery, but there's no like standing structures anywhere near you. There's just fruiting trees and pathways and just vegetation. And I mean, it's truly like picturesque. So picture your perfect garden. Just everything's flowering, everything's so beautiful. And God has collected some dirt, and he blows in the nose, and Adam is up, and Adam's in charge of the stuff, and God puts him to sleep and takes out a rib, and then Eve appears. So now we've got these 2 perfect humans inhabiting perfection in this garden. Everything is, it's unimaginably perfect. And God looks at him and he says, you guys are in charge. You 2 can do anything you want, anything, except that this one thing, this tree here, the knowledge of good and evil, you can't eat it. You can't eat it. And this tree, Apples get a bad rap, but we're going to put a picture of an apple tree in your brain. Tammy Taylor has apple trees. And so just imagine this perfect apple tree. I imagine it's red delicious because they just look like the most picturesque apples that have ever existed. And there's this just big, delicious, fruiting apples just dangling all over this. And they can do anything they want, but they can't eat any of those. And so some time passes. And Eve's taking a stroll through the garden and some worn pathways now where she likes to walk through. She's created some kind of worn out areas of walking. And as she's going up in the tree, the knowledge of good and evil, there's this creature. And like kind of how a snake wraps around a tree a few times in a spiral, but he's hanging with his head upside down in the pathway so Eve can't miss him. And this creature looks at Eve and says, Hey Eve, I noticed you don't like this tree very much. I was just wondering, did God say you really can't eat from this tree? That sounds kind of lame. And Eve looks at him and says, No, we can't eat from this tree, for God said that we would die. And the snake coils back up and sits on the top of the branch and puts his little hands, he's still got hands at this point, and he puts his head on his hands and he goes, Did God really say you would die? Well, Eve's second guessing a little bit, and she takes a peek now at one of these apples that's bobbing right in front of her. The snake, he's bouncing up and down to make sure that the limb is putting this apple right in her eyesight. And she starts nodding along with this bobbing apple, and she notices it is just so red, and it's it looks so good. And so she reaches up and picks it and takes a bite, and it is such a good apple. And she's so excited about how good this tastes and how good it looks that she runs and she finds Adam. And she's like, Adam, this fruit is so good. You gotta eat this apple. And so Adam takes a bite of the apple, and they're sitting eating, and they get to the core, and they both suddenly look at each other, and they do like out of a cartoon, they and they cover that. Where are your clothes? Where are your clothes? And there's this sudden moment where they're ashamed. Everything was great, and then they look and this isn't right. And so they each, like out of a cartoon, you've seen movies where like the bushes are all exactly the right height to make sure that now everything is PG. And so they run into these bushes, and they're perfectly well hidden in these bushes, and they're yelling across the pathway to each other like, I can't believe you gave me that apple. She says, I can't believe you ate the apple. And then he says, why are you naked? She goes, you're the one who's naked. And you understand the ridiculousness of this. And then my favorite thing in the whole Bible happens. One of my absolute favorite things. It says, God took a walk in the cool of the garden. So you've got Adam hiding in a bush like this. And you've got, there's bushes right here. And you got Eve hiding like this. And God's taking a stroll in the garden. And he says what I think is the most ridiculous verse in the whole Bible. Adam, Eve, where are you? Where are you? I don't know if anyone else appreciates just how dumb that sentence is. Because if you just flip back a page, just go back one page, there's this God who spoke words and made things happen. And I've done this before. I have Diet Coke, nothing, right? So I can't do this. It's magic to me. That he used his fingertips and pushed things where they're supposed to go. There was chaos, and he made order. We see in Psalm 139, you knitted me in the womb. You know all my words before I think them. Wherever I go, you're already there. And yet Adam and Eve are hiding in a bush. And God walks in and he goes, where are you? Where are you? And God encounters them, and they play the blame game. Well, she gave me the fruit. I can't believe you gave me this woman. It plays out like how you think. And God punishes the snake, and he punishes woman, and he punishes man, and he sends them on their way. And then one of the coolest things in the Bible happens is the first time that there was a sacrifice to save something. He makes clothes out of the skin of an animal to cover up their shame. So God kills something to create clothing. It's the first time that something died so that humanity could be redeemed in some way. And he sends them on their way. God takes a walk in the cool of the garden and questions, where are you? There are no limits to God's knowledge of us. God knows our actions, our movements, everything that goes on in our heads and our hearts, our habits, our plans, our aims in life, the things we desire, everything that has ever happened in my life to date and will happen in my life to date, God knows. I can hide myself from myself. I can hide myself, my past and my future plans from people in my life. And I do that. But I can't hide anything from God. I can't do it. It's not possible. I can talk in a way that deceives you, sitting in the room right now. I can deceive you about who I really am. I can do it. I've done it. My daughter will do it someday. She'll lie to my face. She will hide who she is from me. My wife has lied to me. I have lied to my parents, and I'm sure you have done it too. We can hide each other from each other. We can deceive each other. But nothing that I ever say or do or act will ever deceive God of who I really am. He sees through everything that I have as a reservation, every pretense that I have. He knows me as I really am. He knows me better than I probably know myself. And the best part about this, God isn't blind. He's not blind. So one of my favorite things that my daughter's also enjoying so much is this whole thing, and I'm sure that you have a memory in your time that you have done this to a human being. There's this game. I've been playing a game. Blake started playing it because I was talking. I don't know if it was because I was talking about it. It's this game called Skyrim. It's this old video game by Bethesda, and it's like in the olden days. And one of the things that you can do in the game is you can take a bucket and you can put it on top of someone's head in the game, and then you can just steal whatever you want in front of them because they can't see through the bucket. And sometimes I think that's how we think God is. We just like put a bucket on God's head and then we turn around and we just like do whatever we want. We're like, he has no idea. Moron, right? I mean, we do this. Put a bucket on his head. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to be who I really am. I can't let God know. A God whose scrutiny and presence that I could literally put a bucket over his head and do whatever I want is a trivial deity. But the one that we hear about in Scripture, that we see in 139, that David wants to be searched through, that walks in the cool of the garden, that created the garden, that exists and reigns and rules today, is great and terrifying. Living is this awesome business when we realize that we will spend every moment of our entire life in the sight and company of that God. You can cut yourself off from people, you can hide from people, you can pretend, you can put on a face, you can wear a mask, you can put a bucket on anybody's head in your life. But you can never, ever, ever do that to the infinitely powerful, intimately personal God that we have. And so the funniest thing in the whole Bible is God walking in the garden. And I hope you hear this sort of ironic laughter that he says. His two greatest creations are like hiding behind bushes like this. And he walks in and he goes, where are you? He already knows. He already knows. He already knows. But the reason that's so cool is despite the fact that he knows everything that's wrong in my life and everything that I'm going to do in the future that's wrong, and anything that you would do, every time you think you put a bucket on his head, he still loves you. He still loves you. Every time you thought you've ever hidden, he saw it, and he still loves you for it. I think one of the most interesting things is coming to that realization that when we pray this dangerous prayer of search me, it is not dangerous to God. Search me, God, so that you may know me. He already knows you. You are praying, search me, God, so that I may know myself. He's already chosen to love you. When you pray, search me, it's you coming finally with humility. Say, God, I know that you know. Help me let go. It's a prayer that we rarely will utter today because it calls us to reflect on ourselves. It's uncomfortable and it's disturbing to truly pray, search me so that I may know what you already know about me. Because we want happiness. That's an easy prayer. Bless me, God. But we never like that cost. And if we pray for God to search us, then we are finally seeking to be humble. Maybe for the first time. And we are saying, take control of my life so that I can let go of those things that you already know of. I think one of the things that's so funny is, in this video, it's by, oh my goodness. I'll just blurt it out at the end of the service. It's a singer, and he's doing this song, and like he said in there, like the best thing that could ever happen to you is on the side screens right here, your deepest, darkest secret goes up because it doesn't matter if anybody else knows, God already knows, and he's already chosen to love you. But we do this thing where we sing, Jesus is Lord, and we sing about this great deity, and then we shrink back and demand that our life be changed because God doesn't know who we really are, and if he ever found out, I'd be lost forever. May we pray, seek. May we pray, search me. So that we can humbly enter into God's presence and hand over control. Say, you know me and you've loved me. Help me to understand who I am to be a vessel for you.